Alright guys, so this stream I'm actually going to be going over um, basics of how to try to find entry, stop losses, TPs, and setups in general. Um, a lot of people that have been taking my class know how I find entries. If you guys have came to my previous um, sessions as well or watch my YouTube videos, you guys know how I find plays. I'm predominantly a support resistance with supply demand zone trader. I also trade price action, but you will never see me market long into anything. It's always limit orders. If it's futures, if it's spot plays, I just market order because there's no fees. And the past few months, I've just been doing spot plays. I've been highly profitable. I'm not going to change anything. So spot plays, and I've been saying this over and over again, spot exposure is a must. Okay, so I hope that you guys are getting some spot exposure because so sometimes you will miss the moves when you're sleeping or you're working. So having spot exposure is crucial. Okay. That being said, I will go into what I look for when I look for plays, how to find the entries. Um, I won't be going over explanations on what something is if it causes or if it's going to be too long. Okay, I've gone over this a few times. So let's start by going over really quickly the dollar index and Bitcoin dominance. Okay, so in my channel, what's up, guys? In my channel, I mentioned we were a little bit higher, that we broke this trend line. Okay, we broke it, we fell down, we had a nice wick into the area. I was hoping a little bit further down, but the dollar on the 4 hour looks bearish. However, on the daily, okay, it has actually broken market structure to the upside, possibly putting in if we close here, a new higher low. So I expect this to grind up. Okay. Now, for alts to continue to run, we need this to stay bearish. And on a lower time frame, it's doing so. If it's going to go up from here and put an inverse head and shoulders, target is actually going to be right like 106-ish. Okay, which will put it at resistance. Now, we need this to be bearish. Okay, Bitcoin dominance went down. Bitcoin price was chilling for the morning, which allowed alts to run. Okay, this on a higher time frame. On the daily, obviously we have a bearish engulfing candle, but on the weekly, as long as we don't SFP here, right, I still see this continue to grind to 57%. Now we want this to be bearish as well for alts continue to run. Okay, we need Bitcoin to stay within a tight range for alts to continue to run. If you're looking for alts to long, you want to look at coins that have strong Bitcoin pairing. Okay, so you have to look at, for example, Sol BTC or Link BTC. Okay, um, this actually looks really good. It looks like it might want to run. Someone has a hot mic. Don't know who. But, okay, this looks like it wants to run. And if we do break out of this resistance here, Sol is going to fly. I still think Sol will go to $72. I'm not taking profit of my position until we get there. If we go lower, I simply add. I don't give a crap. But I do think that this will go higher. Okay. So when Bitcoin is going down, you want to look at their alts Bitcoin pairings to see which coin's holding strong, which coin's looking strong, because when Bitcoin bounces, these pairings will bounce higher. Okay. Um, so Sol BTC is one, Link is the other. My interest right now lies on ARB and SUI. Okay. I do think that these coins are going to run, but let's go into how to find plays. Okay, so let's take a look at Sol, for example. Okay, first of all, you don't want to short strength. if you are fighting against the trend, I don't care if it's a scalp or a swing play, the trend has been up, right? So if you're fighting against the trend, you want to use less than normal position size if you were to long with the trend. So for shorts, you want to use, like maybe half the normal position size. Meaning if you go in with like let's say $100 margin, usually on a trade you want to use $50 margin included. In that will be your DCA. Okay, the best risk to return right now will be longing pullbacks. If you're trying to short 1 to 2% moves, right, it's just not worth it. You rather long, like yesterday, right, we had a 10% move, whereas trying to short this 3% move, right, it's just not worth it. At least for me. If you want to short, by all means go ahead. But looking for plays, first you want to clear your chart, and this is why I have multiple charts of the same coin. Okay, so like 3 Sol coins, or charts, multiple Bitcoin charts, and you want to keep one for your scalps, you want to keep one for your swings, and then you want to keep one for your macro analysis, one for your spot plays, and you want to make sure you're charting them on the specific, um, pairing. So if you're trying to short or long on perps, you want to use a perp chart versus a spot chart. Okay, so for me, I trade on MEXC and Femix. So I use Bybit's chart and Binance's perp chart. Okay, first things first, clear them. Get your chart to be clean. And no, I don't use indicators. Second, plot your resistance points. Okay, so that's resistance for me. Okay, you start on the higher time frame and do top-down analysis. Okay, if you want to start on the weekly.
Make the perfect one.
Um,
A 3D
hot
hole
mic
is used to create
can hold on.
into an egg.
All right, sorry about that. So like yes, you can put your weekly resistances if you want. Right here is an SR support resistance area. Okay, it was previously support. We broke down, so this becomes an SR point. If we were to go back to retest it, right, we should reject from that. So I call those SRs. All right, let's go back on the 4 hour. This is what we're playing with right now. Okay, so this is our current range. Right, so support. My supports are in black. And we have resistance. Okay, now here is support. Right, it was previously resistance. We flipped it to support, lost it, became resistance. Right, resistance. And then we broke out, we flipped it to support. So this is support, and this is going to be your mid-range. Let's make the mid-range blue. Okay, so here is your range highs, here is your range low support, and this is your mid-range. Okay, so this is also support. We've been having bounces from this area, so this is a bounce point if we do get to it. Okay, now that we have that, we look for any type of confluence that we can find. All right, so the reason I got into that 1610 long was because yes, we had this huge move up. I noticed that we had support here, all right, but my entry was this demand zone. And I have a 4 hour or 2 hour video on how to play demand zones. Okay, I'm looking for a move up consolidation, so demand zone there. My entry was within the demand zone. We filled it and then we had a pump, right? This was also an SR point. It was resistance, right? We flipped it briefly, broke down, turned into resistance, broke out. Again, we bounced right from the SR point. So the SR points are usually going to be my entries. Okay. SRs, usually places that we break out from or break down from. You should start your entries there. Okay. So at this point here, not only is it SR, but it's the top of the demand zone. Okay. So not only do I have the SR, I have the demand zone for Confluence. Okay, so if you were looking to get into a long, your entry would be there. You could have a DCA within the zone if you want. This is a pretty small zone, it's about 50 cents. So for me, I would have my DCA at the bottom of the zone. We didn't get it. And then, we have support here. Okay, so I would be looking for something like this. We still may get it. Okay, stops below and target highs if we do get it. Okay, so we've already flipped the SR to support. The entry would be now support. DCA would be this support, and DCA would be this support.
Let's read the chat. Let's see what they're saying.
Someone's talking. Guys, please mute your mics. Okay. Now, this current 4-hour closed. Okay. We closed below resistance, and we even actually put in a swing failure pattern. Okay. We took out these highs. We closed below, right? And for those that have been watching my SFP video, you know that SFPs, or swing failures, offer the greatest R&R. Okay. Now, the reason, if we were in a downtrend, if we were not bullish with this coin, I take a short and place my stop loss below, above this wick. Okay. Now, if you want a tighter risk to reward, as I mentioned, when we do SFP, price always comes back to the previous swing high or swing low. Not always, but 60 to 70% of the time it comes back, retests it, and dump. Okay. This would be your entry. Okay. Previous swing high. Okay, stop loss above the wick. It's a very tight risk, and then you play the range over and over again. Now, taking profits, you should take profits at levels of support. Okay, if you're shorting. So because we shorted resistance, or if you're going to short resistance, you're going to take profits at levels of support. Okay, so this would be an SR. We have not yet flipped it. It was previously resistance. Okay, we broke out. This would be your TP1. Okay, your next level of support, probably here. Right, we broke out, flipped it to support, and then down here. Okay, it's about almost a 5-hour trade. Okay, so that would be the short setup. Okay, if you're playing this. So not only do you have the resistance, you have the SFP. Let me tell you why this will be a risky short. Okay, so our highs, our local highs, is this wick here. Okay, it's around 68.3. Okay, we just recently put in a local high, right? If we were to take this out and we close close to this high or close right above it, this will continue to go higher. Okay, not only that, but if I were to remove some of these lines, can someone restream, please, if possible? Not only that, but here is a possible cup and handle. Okay, we have pattern. Okay, okay, cup handles are usually a flag of some sort. Okay, and your handle should not be less than 40 to 50 or more than 40 to 50% of the cup. So in this case, it's perfect. Okay, we also have an inverse head and shoulders within this flag, and the target of this, okay, should send us to about $70, right? So we have a cup and handle. Okay, we have an inverse head and shoulders. We're possibly putting in new local highs here. So for me, the risk to reward isn't there to possibly try to short this for, like, I know this is a 5-hour trade. It doesn't mean it's going to hit your TPs. And here's the thing about TPs. They're just levels of support and resistance. It doesn't mean they're always going to hit. So if your trade is up, on like let's say 10x or 20x, if you're up like 3%, 4% unleveraged, you should at least be trimming and moving your stop break even. You should not be round tripping your profits when something is up. Okay? Um, I think someone's restreaming. Okay. So for me, although yes, we have an SFP here, yes, risk is tight here. If we were to take this short, which I personally am not, this would be a short that I'm taking with half of normal position size. Okay, but that would be the setup. SFP, 60 to 70% of the time it retests. Okay, now an example of that would be here, this SFP. So here I just started whatever it was, so I'm not switching anything right now. Okay, here was the swing low. Okay, we took out this low here and we closed above. Okay, so what you would have done is you would have market long the next candle, which opened right here, and stop loss was below the wick. Okay, now as I mentioned, 60 to 70% of the time we come back and touch previous range lows or range highs. We came back and touched it to the T. Your swing failure would have filled perfectly and you would have been up about a 9-hour trade. Easy invalidation, crisp trade, okay? SFP, not only did you have an SFP, but if you were trading the 4-hour, order blocks, okay? Order blocks is another Confluence that I use. Okay, here was the SR, right? It was resistance. We broke out. SR would have been my first entry, right? And then you could have DCA to the order block, right? Now, a bullish order block is the last red candle before a move up, okay? This was a order block. This was an order block. We went up, came back. Look, we bounced right from that order block, right? Last red candle, moved up, came back, bounced right from the order block, right? Now, you don't want an order block this big and you need a gap from the order block. Like it can't just move like 2% or 1% on a 4-hour chart and call that an order block. This was, once we had the move out, it was 4%, right? Came back. This one, we had a nice like what, 10% move almost. Came back. This is too big. I'm not going to use that as an order block. Okay, so you need Confluence. Not only did I have the SR here, we had the order block. Yes, we had an inverse head and shoulders, right? There's a lot of things going on. For me, I see more bullish thesis than a bearish thesis to take this trade. Yes, it might go and work out perfectly, but for me, not worth it. Okay. The other thing is everyone should be DCAing. Now, there are times where you don't DCA, and those are confirmation trades. Okay, so like a breakdown and retest. I'm going to get rid of this really quickly. Actually, we'll go with spot chart. So here is a trend line, right? For a trend line, you need 3 touches to be considered a trend line, right? 1, 2, 3. That's where you would have drawn it. Wicks don't matter. It's where the candle closes, okay? So if this were to break down, right? Those breakdown traders or breakout traders, I'm not one of them, so I would never, urge you guys to get into a trade on a breakdown or breakout. For me, I'm more of a successful retest confirmation type trader. Okay, so candle must close below the trend line. Next or subsequent candles must go up, retest, and also close below. Can you guys please mute your mics? Thanks. retest candle must go and reject and close below. Then you would mark it short if you were taking a short here, and stop loss would be somewhere above here. I can't tell you there or when, right? Because we don't have enough data, but somewhere above. Now, when you do a confirmation type of trade, okay, in this case a short, you would not DCA above. If this reclaims the trend line and closes above, you cut out for a small loss if it hasn't hit your stop loss. So for example, let's say your stop loss is right over here, right? If this 2 hour closes above, let's say it closes right here, you would cut the trade for a small loss, okay? The only time you would DCA is if you set limit orders, or if, let's say, you successfully had this perfect retest of this trend line, a bearish retest, okay? Your stop loss is above there. Now, let's say this is your support, because it is. If price comes back down, right, and turns this into resistance, again, closes below, goes and rejects on the next candle or subsequent candles, whenever that may be. If it turns this into resistance, then you will market short some more or add to your position. But once you do that, you have to move your stop loss. Let's say this was your play originally, right? You already have a move down. Again, if you're shorting, you want to take profits at your support so you can either add more to your position and not take profits, okay? Or you could take profits, move your stop loss to break even. If this, goes back up, then it stops you out. You look for a different play. If it doesn't happen, you're waiting for that support to turn into resistance. You would add to your position. Okay, that would bring your average entry probably to like somewhere over here. Then you would have to move your stop loss and adjust it to above, another wick. You're not going to leave that same play because you have more in your position, so you don't want to leave that risk for yourself. So you probably move your stop loss somewhere like there. Okay, so if it goes and hits your stop loss, you've already taken profit, and you're probably out for either break even or a small loss. Okay, so for me, if I'm looking for something, I am looking for Confluence for a trade. I'm not entering in anything market wise because one, fees, two, I want to plan my trade. And my DCA method is posted in my channel of how I go about it, right? I have the 15, 30, 35, 50, 55% rule. So refer to that on how to position yourself. But let's say if I'm playing this, right? A lot of people are like, hey, I'm going to try to long the trend line. Okay, what confluence are you finding for this trade? Right now, I see nothing, right? I see just the trend line. Okay, let's go on the 4 hour. Again, I see nothing. This was your resistance. So this is your SR actually, right? It may come and bounce from 64.45, but I see nothing for me to long at this trend line. Let's go on a 15-minute, right? Maybe now I see something. I see nothing conclusive. Now, if this continues to take longer and longer, right, this would be an entry. Here's your support. Okay. If this, takes another 6 hours, right? You have support of this trend line. You have support, horizontal support here, right? So play, if we go further out, would be such as this. Okay, stop loss would be very tight, and you're targeting higher. Okay, I have two confluences for this. We have a small little order block here, but it's like 20 cents. Okay, so your entry could also be this with DCA at the support line and stops below the wick. Very tight scalp. Okay, 15-minute resistance here. You have a supply zone Okay, so two separate plays, two separate scalps. Now, if this is an SR, right? Again, it was previously resistance. We broke out. We never had a successful retest. I expect a bounce from here. It doesn't mean we can't wick below. It's just where we close the candle. It's important when you're looking for support and resistance. Okay. So that would be a possible scalp. It's very easy in validation. Okay. Otherwise, we get stopped out here. This play would go into effect. But just know, anything on a lower time frame is going to be weaker than that on a higher time frame. I personally don't use scalps, right, for my students when we did the live trading in class, right? Like it's very hard placement on these wicks and placing your stop loss below them, right? Because we could have a sweep of liquidity, wick below, and then just close above. So it's very hard. That's why using 4-hour or the daily is going to be better. But I see nothing conclusive on the 4-hour too long at those areas. So yes, these would be scalp type of plays. Okay. Now if we were looking at a different coin, let's just say my eyes are on SUI. I think this would pump hard. See, market down, this coin's up. Now, why is this coin up? Bitcoin pairing. Okay. We have a falling wedge that actually just broke out. Okay. Target 16% move, right? Would translate into about probably 73, 74 cents here. Okay. Now we had resistance. Again, we failed to flip it to support. We had here's the clear again. Previously, last 4-hour candle failed to close above as well. Okay, here's the actual breakout. Okay, for those that missed my call, wait for this to be flipped to support, then you could enter in. But let's see it where else we could enter. All right, so we have here resistance, resistance, resistance. All of this rejected. We finally broke out of here. Okay, so now this is an SR. The next touch would be an SR point, support resistance area. You have a 4-hour order block here. Okay. Let's add more Confluence to this. I don't know how long it'll take, but let's say we just hover here. Right? 1, 2, 3. This is still holding the uptrend. We've actually broken market structure to the upside. This was the last lower high. We broke it. We made a lower low, or a higher low. We broke in market structure to the upside. Okay. So if we come back down, this would be the setup. Okay. SR point, you can DCA somewhere within the order block. To do so, have to go on a lower time frame to find the support level. If you want a DCA down there. Okay, so maybe we DCA there. Right? Resistance, we broke out, flipped it to support there. Right? Back on the 4-hour. Okay, so entry, DCA, DCA2, stop loss below the wick. If we get stopped out there, if this SR point gets turned into resistance again and we fail to hold it, right, then most likely the next touch will be at the support level. Okay, but I expect this to run to at least 74 to 80 cents. And I'm in on spot, so I have no liquidation pressure. But that's what I'm looking for SUI. If you guys missed it, that's where you could enter. Again, I'm not doing leverage. Okay. Now, I mentioned this a few times and I want you guys to understand. I just posted a message in my channel before I got into stream. You want to look at the perp prices versus the spot price. When perp prices are leading, in this case, perp is up by like $30-ish. Okay, this is bearish. Okay, you never want perp prices to lead. You want spot price, especially Coinbase price, to lead. The last time I posted that the spot price was down was around 44.3K. Okay, perps were leading $30. Same thing now. This tells me that the market is heavily over leveraged. Okay, and we might have another small correction soon. Okay, again, still profits in my opinion are going to be rotating over into alts. So I'm not interested in playing Bitcoin. I'm interested in playing ETH and the other alts. I'm looking into Link, Sol, Sui, Arb, and those coins. I do think Big Time will go to range highs as well. So let's do some TA on this because I do think this will run again. Right? Let's go to the 1 hour. And let's mark our ranges. I've already gone over Sol, yeah. Okay. Here's our range high. Yes, we had wicks above. Doesn't matter. That's our range high. Okay. And here is our range low. Okay. Support, support, support. Each time we touch support or resistance, it's going to get weaker. Okay. Now, we're looking for our mid-range. Yes, you could draw your range and goes 1, 0.5, and 1, right? But I don't like drawing fibs. I prefer to draw everything based off resistance and support. This is my mid-range. Okay, support broke down. It became SR. Right, once we closed below, look where we rejected. Okay, this that had to be Gucci. Every time he joins, man, it makes a sound. Okay, so this is our mid-range. Okay, I'm gonna make this a little bit cleaner. That's our support. Okay, we had a 1 hour order block. It's the last green candle before a move down. This is a bearish order block. Look, we rejected right from it, along with the SR Confluence. Okay. For me, this looks like accumulation, right? If price action is going up and we're consolidating, right, under resistance, okay, that's usually bullish, but this is making all-time highs. This isn't price discovery, well, it was. So this wasn't bullish because it was just consolidating on a lower time frame at all-time high levels. Okay, this wasn't resistance. But when we come back down, when a coin's in price discovery, okay, and starts consolidating, in my opinion, that's accumulation. Okay, that's exactly what's happening here. Now we've touched this level 3 times. The more we touch it, it's going to get weaker. Okay, but I expect this level to hold. If I'm correct, we should at least go to mid-range. Okay, so mid-range is here. Flip that into support, we get range highs. Okay, so it's a simple range trading. If we come back down to support, you'd long it. Now, where, in my opinion, if you were to long, this is where I would long. This perfectly tapped the demand zone, okay, and bounced higher. Now we're going to play this order block. So if we do come back down, we might wick into it because this coin is brand new. It's very volatile. It has these wicks. Stop loss below the wick. Now this is a very wide stop, so you have to adjust your position size that you are losing no more than 2 to 3% of your port since it's a scalp trade. Okay. Or if you're not setting limits and you want to play this confirmation, here is your swing low level. Whoops. You're going to wait for that swing failure, right? Take out the liquidity, close above. Let's say we close here, right? You would mark it long, stop loss below the wick. Okay, that would offer the highest risk to reward, right? But if we lose this level and flip it into resistance, then yes, we are going to go lower. Lower would probably send us into this demand zone here. Which is also the area that I have my DCAs if we do get it for big time. Okay, so anywhere from 47 down to 38 is a must-buy level because I do think that this coin, gaming coin, right? My picks for the next bull run are gaming coins and AI coins. If this fills this level, then I do expect it to run to at least $5 next cycle. Minimum. Okay. So again, I'm not taking any of these leverage calls. I'm only spot trading for the time being. But this is what I would do. Okay, so we have 3 separate examples here, right? All my levels that I've given are in my channel, so you have to scroll to find it. Let me remove this. I'm not posting this in my channel because people are going to think it's a live call, so I'll post it here. You guys can do whatever you want. Whoops, wrong one. This is not a live call, so if you get liquidated, blame someone else. All right. Okay. ONG, yeah, we'll do live breakdown of that. This is a shitcoin. I don't know why. Okay, so first, empty out your charts, right? Strip them of its clothing. Possible double bottom. Maybe a triple bottom. It did break out and retest successfully. Resistance. Resistance. It's making higher highs and higher lows, right? So it's an uptrend. Okay. So, I mean, it's simple validation, right? If you're looking to long, stop loss below the lows. This coin's garbage. I'm not touching it, but that would be your setup if you're looking to long it, right? Because these are the lows. Now, your stop loss would have to be a 4-hour closure below, right? Because this is higher high, higher low, higher high, right? This can actually go down and make another low here and still put in a higher time frame, higher low. Okay, so That would be your setup if you're looking to long OGN, right? But safer one would be, again, long its support, or you wait until mid-range is flipped to support, and then you long there with stops somewhere below here. We need more candle information, and then you target there. Okay. TIA. Yeah, so I want a bag of TIA. I'm actually looking for a place to buy it, and these are my levels. Okay, I shared this in my um, private chat with a few people, but why these levels? Okay, so this level is an SR, right? Rejection, rejection. We broke out. So first level, if we do come back down, anywhere from $9 and like 5 cents to $8.97 would be my first entry. Okay, we have support here. So if you're looking for DCA, that would be it. And again, I'm only giving spot levels. I'm not talking about leverage levels right now because again, I'm spot trading. So if you're looking for leverage plays, you have to do your own analysis on where to place your stop loss. The next one would be this SR level. Resistance, resistance, previous all-time high should come and bounce from that point. Now, we have a 4-hour order block that has not been filled. This would be a nice long for you leveraged folks if we do get it. Okay. Previous SR point can also be a nice leverage long, but stop loss placement's hard because you'll have to go on a lower time frame to find it. Now, lower time frame, we have a 4 or a 15-minute order block here. So your long would look like this. Right? Lower time frame, okay. We're holding this order block here. Also support. Now this is the fourth touch of support, so it's getting weaker and weaker every single time. Next support doesn't come until down here. Okay. Not only do you have a support, you have trendline confluence. So if you're taking this long at that confluence point, this would be your setup. Okay. And then you take profits at levels of resistance. Okay. Now, the safest trade again is a breakout retest. If you're looking to a long, I would never long a breakout. So we've had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 touches of this downtrend. Break out, wait for that successful retest. Retest must hold and close above. You long stop loss somewhere here. I can't give you that yet. We don't have data. Okay, so 3 possible plays for this. 15-minute order block must hold. Fourth touch that's getting weaker. We have the support down here. Now if I were to draw fibs, let me try something. One sec. I want to see where this possibly rejects. Okay. Yeah. So the 2 points that I usually see a reversal point, the most important ones, are the golden fib, okay, between here, and the 786 fib. Now the 786 fib is probably going to be a DCA level if you're trying to long here, right? This needs to bounce from this point, otherwise the support's getting weaker. That would be the long entry for me, as I expect Bitcoin to take more of a pullback. Yeah, see, perps are leading by $40 now. Okay, so entry would be there, stop loss below the wick, or we get down here and you add to your spot plays or your spot bags at these levels. So 9.05, 8.15, and 7.45. So I'll post this as well for you guys. If I get into a spot play on TIA, you will know. Okay. Do you only go out as far as 1 week time frame when you're drawing your SR lines? Um, it depends on the coin and the data. Like for example, on BNB, right? Weekly makes sense, right? Whereas and then you can do top-down analysis. Like here are your weekly levels, label them on your charts so you know what levels are. Go on the daily, right? Here is your daily resistance. Here is your daily support, right? And then you just do top-down analysis. So just keep going lower and lower. But I usually do weekly, daily. I don't go on monthly unless it's like Bitcoin. How much percent do you invest in your portfolio in spot plays? I use each play 6 to 8% of my portfolio. And no, I don't have a stop loss. I close it when it loses macro levels of support. And then, if I do take profit, I'm just reallocating into something else. Is TIA an AI coin? Yes, I think so. Yeah, 6 to 8% does include DCAs. Okay. XRP. So off the bat, we see that XRP had a swing failure. Okay. I'm going to go on a lower time frame for the range. Here is your resistance. You have also resistance up here. Yes, we had the wicks, right? But it's where the candles close. You want to place your resistance and supports at the point of most touch. In this case, it's wicks, but wicks can go above. It's just where the candles close because this is also resistance. Okay. Um, I would say TA is hard to do on this. There's no clear direction. I would not long until this resistance here is flipped to support. But again, you must watch out for the top trend line here. We've had 3 touches. If you're looking to long, probably back at support. 62.80, right? Because that's support. But all these order blocks have been filled perfectly. Right here, this 4-hour order block had to move up, came back down, perfectly filled it. You have a supply zone here, also an order block. PA on this coin looks like garbage actually. Yeah, there's no indication of where this wants to go. Other coins have been easy, right? Like TIA was pretty easy. TIA actually might break out. Whereas XRP, they're just like, there's no indication. So I'm not really sure. I wouldn't long again until this is flipped to support, or you long support with probably stops below previous lows and target higher, something like that. So long on the flip or something like that. The American Disability Act? No, thank you. Write to your congressmen and women on that. CRV. Yeah, it's America. They don't care about shit here. Last time I did TA on this, back in May. CRV looks like a nice cup and handle forming. Technical targets, 90 cents. Resistance. Supply zone. SR point. Target of this breakout, if it does break out, which must flip that supply zone, is 1.66. You had this breakout recently with a perfect retest. Sans a shitcoin. Okay, so I would not long until this is flipped to support, right? So 1, 2, 3, it's getting weaker. This looks like it wants to break out. Support. You have an order block, which it filled top of it, but if you were to enter, that would be your setup. It could come back down and put in a possible double bottom here. Maybe an Adam and Eve pattern on this low time frame one, and even a bull flag. This is your range right now, right? Range highs, range lows, range highs. This is your mid range. So something like that. Or you wait for the flip, so you stop loss below there, or you enter this order block. If that one gets stopped, right, you have the range lows. Okay, ARB. I'm not going to do all these coins. I'll just do 2 more after ARB, and then I got to head out. So ARB, I gave the spot call, right, from 89 cents to lower. I have an actual average around 89 cents. It was the perfect golden pocket pick. Now, if we were to do TA on this, it looks like another cup and handle forming. Okay, same kind of pattern that we just saw. Where is... Okay. What, are you taking this, this, and this? If you're talking about this, it's invalidated because of that. It's a cup and handle to me, unless you're counting this. But you have an inverse head and shoulders sideways. So I'd be looking to play this order block, right, which is in confluence with the SR point, right? Also a retest of the breakout. If that doesn't happen, you're waiting for the flip of the neckline. So here you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 rejections, getting weaker and weaker every single time. Okay, it could reject from here. There's an order block. That's where you would enter. So stops or play would look something like, right, extra confluence if you want. Right, 1, 2, 3, 4 touches. So something like this. Whoops. And then stops and target higher. Or you wait for the flip and you enter that way. Yeah, so TA is subjective, right? I can draw multiple trend lines that other people don't see. I can, someone else can have a trend line. It's all subjective. But for me, this is not an inverse head and shoulders. This invalidated the head and shoulders. Okay, so that's what I'm looking for in ARB. I'm already positioned in ARB from lower, so I'm looking for 125 to 140 as my targets. Now we go up here, then yes, this is your left shoulder. This would be your head, possibly comes back down, and then makes your right shoulder. I'm just taking profits at resistance. Yes, it can go higher, but those are my levels. 1.25, which is the supply zone, or this order block here, and then 1.4, which is this resistance. Yes, it can go higher, but I'm taking profits at that level. Sure, it can go higher again, but I don't care if it goes higher. I'm just taking levels at profits. I'm taking profits at levels of resistance. For the trades that I've given, I've already went over big time. For the trades that I've given, I have a long-term spot port and a short-term spot port. All the profits that I'm taking are on the short-term spot ports. Okay, so short-term plays are anywhere from days to weeks to months. I already went over link 2, and then I am holding all my positions on my long term, and I'm not selling until the next cycle. So every coin that I've given over the course of 3 to 4 months in spot, yes, I've taken profits on the short term, but I haven't taken anything on the long term. I'm not going to until the next cycle end. So I highly suggest you guys have two portfolios for spot, one for your long term portfolio where you don't plan to sell for a year or two, and then your short term where you're just rotating capital after 15-20% moves and play it that way. Okay. All right, AVAX, my last chart. See, here's link. Let me just, or it's not link. Here is what we discussed on Sol, right? Wait, what the, right? Looks too bullish. There's no point in trying to short this, although we had the SFP. This will most likely put in new highs, right? So I hope you guys all got long on, this lower area. Same with AVAX, right? This was the local highs, and we took it out. So again, we're putting in new highs here, but I advise caution because a possible rising channel. Okay, now this is actually a bearish 3 drive pattern. Let me show you guys what that looks like. Don't want you guys to see my porn history. 1 second. Bearish 3 drive pattern. All right. So, okay. So bearish 3 drive patterns is a rising channel, not a wedge, a channel. Okay. You have 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, right? This was your sell target. Okay. Lose this channel and turn into resistance. Again, possible short can be taken, right? Stop loss above here now that we have thing, but it must lose and turn into resistance. Okay? But again, not worth it because we've just recently put in recent highs. Okay? So yes, you can take a quick scalp on this. If Sol continues to run, AVAX will continue to run. Right? Usually these run hand to hand with each other. For those that are OGs in the crypto space, you guys will remember Sol Lunavax, right? Sol, Luna, and AVAX all ran together. And it happened just recently, right? Sol ran, AVAX ran, and Luna ran. I don't think they're correlated anymore, but Sol will run with AVAX and vice versa. Okay. I'm not looking to short again, but if you guys were looking to short this coin, you have an order block, right? Here is your resistance or an SR point. We're still in an uptrend, so no point in trying to short. And stop loss somewhere there. For me, if we do get this SR point at 24.69, right, previous resistance, we broke out, that's a long for me. I'm not looking to short. So if you guys are looking for coins to long, you want to look for coins that on Bitcoin dip, right, they're holding strong, right? Bitcoin dipped while we started this Sol was at like what, 64.9? Look at it now. Bitcoin only went up $100. Okay, and Sol is just running. Again, that's because of its Bitcoin pairing. Sol BTC, right? Looking like it wants to break out. And then I showed one other coin that looks like it wanted to break out on the Bitcoin pairing. But coins that do well against Bitcoin when they're dipping are coins that are going to outperform once Bitcoin pumps. Okay? So look for their Bitcoin pairing. This time, moving forward, the alt Bitcoin pairings are something that you want to keep an eye out for. Okay? On every dump, you want to see what coin is holding well and play that way. Okay? I think Injective. Oops. Injective versus Bitcoin. Hmm, maybe not. The Bitcoin pairing looks gross on this. This actually looks like a bearish Quasimodo. I don't trade those coins. Clay and True. I only trade high cap coins with liquidity, not Taco Bell tier coins. One sec. Bearish Quasimodo. Okay. So higher high, higher low, higher high, lower low. Bitcoin pairing should reject from there and then send it lower, which should send Injective lower as well. Injective had a nice day today, but these wicks are just crazy. I mean, if you had your resistance levels, right, you could have caught the short and placed your stop loss above. Easy invalidation, but this is just terrible PA on coins. Like when you see coins that have PA like this with wicks, right, I tend to stay away from them. Okay. So again, last step by step on how to find entries. Pick a coin, right? Undress them, remove all your charts and drawings, right? Start on a higher time frame, place your resistances and supports. Label them if you want. I know what my levels are, right? So if you want to start on the daily, make sure they're labeled like daily R, um, daily support, and so on and so forth. Okay, and then go on lower time frame, place those support and resistances, and then you can find scalps and swings. Right? Don't short Sol. My last warning to you guys, for those that aren't in the chat, wish them well if they do short. Um, if this breaks the highs of 68, you will probably see a God candle to about 72 to 75. Right? So I'm going to stop recording here. I got to head out. I will upload this on YouTube.